The first order came sharp and loud, cutting through the music like a blade. "Get her off this property." The command didn't ask for confirmation. It assumed obedience. Conversations stalled mid-sentence, glasses paused inches from lips, and a ripple of attention spread across the manicured lawn of the seaside estate. At the center of it stood a woman in a simple navy dress, calm to the point of stillness, while the owner of the voice, elegant, furious, accustomed to control, pointed at her as if pointing alone could erase her existence. To the crowd, it looked like a routine correction, a wealthy family protecting its space, a stranger who wandered too far. But power has a way of revealing itself in silence, and the woman being singled out did not argue, did not plead, did not explain. She only nodded once, as if acknowledging a process already in motion. That quiet response unsettled people more than shouting ever could. The woman issuing the order, Victoria Bradford, was used to rooms bending around her. The estate behind her was a symbol of lineage and money, a place whispered about in society columns and photographed for glossy spreads. Her confidence came from years of being obeyed without question. To her, the woman standing calmly near the garden path was an intrusion, a blemish on a perfect afternoon, and she treated her as such. Security moved in, but their steps slowed as the woman walked ahead of them on her own. She didn't head toward the exit directly. Instead, she followed the curved stone path between hedges as if she knew exactly where each turn led. She avoided uneven stones without looking down. She passed a fountain and glanced at it with something like recognition. Staff members noticed. A server stopped pouring champagne. A groundskeeper removed his cap instinctively, then froze when he realized what he'd done. Victoria noticed the hesitation and misread it entirely. She assumed fear of confrontation, fear of disruption. "Don't stare," she snapped at the staff. "Do your jobs." But unease spread anyway, subtle and contagious. The woman walking through the estate did not move like a trespasser. She moved like someone returning to a place that remembered her. Near the reflecting pool, she stopped. For a moment, her composure wavered. Not outwardly, but just enough for something heavy to pass through her eyes. A valet nearby stared at her, then whispered her name before he could stop himself. The sound carried farther than he expected. Heads turned. Victoria's irritation sharpened into suspicion. "Do you know her?" Victoria demanded. The valet swallowed. She used to come here, a long time ago." "That's enough," Victoria snapped. "Back to work!" The woman said nothing, only offered the valet a small, familiar smile, the kind that said she remembered him too. By the time security escorted her to the gates, a small audience had gathered. Guests murmured freely now, emboldened by Victoria's confidence. Some scoffed, some laughed. Others said nothing at all, eyes lowered, sensing that something about this scene felt wrong but unwilling to challenge it. At the iron gate, the woman paused. Her fingers brushed the metal crest welded at its center. Anyone watching closely would have noticed how her touch lingered, how her thumb traced a shape almost worn away by time. Security cleared their throats, eager to finish the task. She stepped outside without resistance. Applause broke out behind her. Victoria turned back to her guests, reclaiming the moment. "Some people don't understand boundaries," she said brightly. Laughter followed. Relief too. The threat, whatever it had been, was gone, except it wasn't. Across the street, the woman opened the trunk of her car and lifted out a leather briefcase. She didn't rush. When she walked back through the gates, her posture had changed. Not defiant, not aggressive, but purposeful. Security hesitated. They hadn't been trained for this part. She didn't return to the center of the celebration. She chose a quiet table at the edge of the reception, set the briefcase down, and sat. The audacity of it rippled through the crowd. Whispers sharpened into accusations. Phones tilted discreetly. Victoria noticed immediately. "She's back," she hissed. "Unbelievable." Guests clustered closer, curiosity overpowering etiquette. Someone asked if the police should be called. Someone else joked about lawsuits. A few laughed too loudly. The woman at the table ignored it all, opening the briefcase and reviewing documents with professional focus, as if she were alone in an office instead of surrounded by hostility. When a server approached, Victoria intercepted him. "She gets nothing," she said. "No food, no water. She's not a guest." The woman looked up anyway and calmly asked for a glass of water. The server hesitated, torn between orders and instinct. He left, empty-handed. The comments grew bolder, crueler. People said what they would never say in rooms where consequences were guaranteed. They spoke of entitlement, of knowing one's place, of how some people always wanted what they hadn't earned. The woman listened without reacting, making notes, checking her watch, waiting. Victoria finally confronted her again, voice raised so everyone could hear. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" The woman closed her folder and met her gaze. "Observing." "Observing what?" "How power behaves when it believes it's untouchable." The words landed differently than intended. A few smiles faltered. Someone shifted uncomfortably. Victoria laughed to cover it. "You don't scare anyone here." "I'm not trying to," the woman replied. "That comes later." Before Victoria could respond, a new presence cut through the noise. A man in a dark suit, badge clipped discreetly to his belt, stopped short when he saw the woman at the table. His expression changed instantly. Color drained from his face. "Oh," he said quietly, "this just became very serious." The crowd leaned in, hungry for clarity. Victoria scoffed. "Do you know her too?" The man removed his hat, slowly, respectfully. "Yes," he said, "and you should stop talking." Silence fell, not the polite kind, but the kind that signals a shift, the kind that comes right before a room realizes it has made a catastrophic mistake. The woman closed her briefcase with a soft click and stood. This was only the beginning. The silence did not break all at once. It fractured, splintering into sharp breaths and half-formed questions as the man with the badge stepped aside, creating a clear line between the woman and the crowd. He didn't announce her. He didn't need to. His posture alone did it for him. The kind of posture learned from years of knowing exactly when to stand straight and when to step back. Victoria felt the room tilt. "This is absurd," she said, but the confidence in her voice had thinned. "She's trespassing. Do your job." "I am," the man replied evenly, "and my job is to prevent you from making this worse." The woman opened the briefcase again, slower this time, deliberate. Inside were neatly arranged folders, each marked, each heavy with implication. She removed one and placed it on the table without theatrics. The gesture was calm, almost gentle, yet it drew every eye. Power didn't rush. It waited. "You asked what I'm doing here," she said, her voice carrying without effort. "I'm here because this land never stopped being mine." Laughter tried to rise and failed. Someone scoffed too late, someone else went pale. Victoria stepped forward, sharp heels biting into stone. "That's impossible. My family has lived here for decades." "Yes," the woman replied, "without permission." The words struck harder than shouting ever could. A murmur rolled through the guests. The man with the badge inhaled slowly, then spoke. "County records list the property under the Washington Trust. Taxes paid on time, every year, for more than 20 years. Victoria's mouth opened, closed. "That can't be right." "It is," he said. "I checked." The woman finally looked around the crowd, meeting faces one by one. Some stared back in disbelief. Others looked away, already calculating distance from the fallout. "My grandfather bought this estate nearly a century ago," she continued. "My family built it, maintained it, protected it. When documents appeared claiming otherwise, we investigated quietly, thoroughly." She paused, letting the word quietly do its work. "I waited," she said, "because truth doesn't need a stage, but disrespect invites one." A man near the back dropped his glass. It shattered, loud and final. No one laughed. Victoria shook her head, grasping for ground. "Even if that were true, you don't just show up like this. You don't humiliate people." The woman's gaze returned to her, steady and unblinking. "You did that long before I opened this briefcase." The badge-wearing man cleared his throat. "There's more," he said carefully. "Much more." The woman removed a second folder. This one was black, unmarked, heavier somehow. She didn't open it immediately. "This estate includes protected land," she said. "Federal oversight. Any unauthorized occupancy carries consequences." Victoria laughed, brittle and loud. "Now you're threatening us?" "No," the woman replied. "I'm informing you." She opened the black folder just enough for the seal inside to catch the light. Recognition spread in waves. A few guests knew immediately. Others felt it in the sudden way conversations died. The man with the badge straightened fully now. "Ma'am," he said, voice edged with respect, "I didn't realize you were present today." Victoria stared. "Present as what?" The answer came from the crowd, whispered, terrified, undeniable. A judge. The word landed like a dropped chandelier. Victoria staggered back a step. No, that's not... Federal, the man confirmed. Lifetime appointment. The woman closed the folder. I came here as a property owner, she said. I stayed as an observer. What happened next was your choice. A man pushed through the crowd then, younger, shaken, dressed in a groom's suit, still creased from celebration. He stopped when he saw her. Color drained from his face. It's you, he said softly. She nodded once. Hello. Victoria turned, confused. You know her? He swallowed. Yes. The word carried weight. 3 years ago, he said, voice unsteady. I stood in her courtroom. I was guilty. I expected prison. A collective inhale swept the lawn. She didn't excuse me, he continued. She gave me accountability and a chance. Victoria's knees buckled into a chair. I wouldn't be standing here, he said, if not for her mercy. The woman watched him with something like pride, something like restraint. People are not their worst mistakes, she said quietly. But systems that protect cruelty are. She turned back to Victoria. You lived here believing power meant ownership. You treated people as disposable because you thought nothing could touch you. Victoria's voice cracked. What do you want? The woman considered the question carefully. Acknowledgement, she said. Restitution and change. The crowd leaned in, breath held. The estate returns to my family's stewardship, she continued. The staff keeps their positions, with protections you never offered. A public apology is issued. A trust is established for education on this land. Victoria nodded frantically. Yes, anything. The woman raised a hand, stopping her. And you will remember this feeling, she said, because fear is not the lesson. Accountability is. She closed the briefcase. The sound echoed. As she walked away, no one stopped her. No one spoke. The estate seemed to exhale. At the gates, she paused once more, looking back not with triumph, but with clarity. Power doesn't announce itself, she said. It reveals itself when silence becomes unbearable. Then she left, leaving behind a wedding stripped of illusion, a crowd forced into reflection, and a truth that would echo far longer than applause ever could.